Turnaround Tuesday, everybody. Hi, Kevin. Have you made it out of Puerto Rico safely? Hoping you have. How you doing, Hardy? Hardianto Sonoto is going to be our special guest today. So I guess Kevin got out of Puerto Rico. Good news. I don't have to worry about him anymore. Everyone doing okay? So normally I'm pretty aggressive on Tuesdays looking for turnarounds. The one thing that I'd like to talk about, I started talking about yesterday, it was US dollar yen. So I do think that we have a short-term top developing here. Initially, maybe not looking for a lot, but maybe back to 1045, so there could be some scalps there. But last week I started talking about the equinox, right? And said I'd have to wait 8 whole days to maybe do a trade. So I missed this first pop in the dollar, and I want to talk about the dollar here. So let's go to daily. So defined by very significant borders, here we are, this moving average above the Volgi number. The Volgi-Dixie bottom comes in on closes above 93.21, at least that's its first confirmation. My preferred scenario is one more low, one more washout low in the Dixie. This line is a weekly line down here. You just drawed off a couple of previous important lows off this low, off this low. So they're intersecting here. This is a weekly chart. I'd like to see something in the low 90 handle. Of course, everything can be just out the window, this preferred scenario. If Janet is hawkish or the statement is hawkish, everyone with me on this, but my preferred count is one more shot down, one more capitulation move to the downside in the dollar for a potential inflection point. Give me a Y if you're with me. You don't have to agree with me. I just want to make sure that you understand what my thinking is going into this end of summer, beginning of fall trading season. And speaking about season, has everyone seen the promotion and the sale that we have going on at ForexAnalytix? So you could save some money. Yeah, endless summer, George. Grab your longboard. Okay, so this is what I'm looking for in the dollar. One of the reasons why I didn't buy it is, even though it looked like we had a third drive, and it's something I teach, everyone see this divergence in Dixie? I mean, look at this reading was 14, and then a week ago, last Friday's low was 20. My preferred scenarios for bottom picks are RSI readings above 30, not 20. So I think there's a good chance if we wash out back down to these levels here, that we will stay above 30 if this scenario unfolds. And there are a couple of other pairs, individual pairs I just want to cover. The euro's trying to break out, although we just had a pretty negative candle. It's trying to come out of here. It's holding this moving average. So if I'm right about the dollar, there's another shot up to these highs. So far, this looks like a failed breakout, so maybe I'm all wet. And then I keep staring at this Aussie, which on the daily is really the big picture for me. So, you know, we headed down. So far, we've held the support here, but I'm actually looking for a continuation move to complete this formation, maybe up towards 81.50 to 82. If I'm right about one more washout in the dollar, and this would be an attractive shorting opportunity for me. So those are most of my macro ideas here. Right now, to me, it looks like a coin toss in the dollar. Would I buy it here? Would I sell it here? Looks pretty neutral to me. I think I'd rather have a Steve Volge mentality, and instead of just so I could get the edge and be early before a breakout, I've done that a million times in my career. Don't do it. So you feel pretty sure that you're going to get a breakout over 93, and here, let me read your mind. Well, if it's going to break out over 93, why should I wait for 93 to buy it? I'll get long here at 92 and have a 100-pip lead into the breakout. Well, you know what? It may not get there. So don't try and get the edge. Wait for confirmation. So we're either going to break out here over 93.20, or there's one more washout here towards the low 90 handles into later this week. So the equinox, I believe, is actually the 22nd, which is Friday. And I know a lot of people think I'm a lunatic, but these astronomical type things, and Gann was a big one for saying that at the change of seasons, trends can reverse as well as the season change, direction can change. So it's Friday. So normally what you have to do is give it a day or two on either side of the astronomical event. So we'll see. I looked at some of the stuff going on in TL, and Greg is pretty active with some pips. He has a lead on the Aussie. He's pretty constructive on the crude, so perhaps Canada is going to come off again. I'm still with Blake. Blake talked about yesterday that Canada, he'd love to be a seller on a pop. He got his pop yesterday. I'm going to be very interested to see what he's thinking in here now that we've had this pretty sharp bear market rally in USD CAD. This is when Blake was talking about it. He brought it up as a potential flagging move, so maybe it was off the daily. Must have been. So he had some type of flag drawn here, and I think he was talking about even the possibility of previous lows here. You know, when I look at this, pretty good divergence, but I would say if Greg is right about crude having another wave, and I'm right about one more washout in the dollar, Canada could be a good sell on this rally. I agree with Blake. And if you're here, partner, I'd love to know what you're thinking in here in USD CAD. Your instinct said that, you know, you didn't want to get short in the hole. You wanted to sell a pop. And when I saw a pop yesterday, I knew you probably went for it.
Well, you know, I did. Actually, the problem was I shorted the stupid thing at 123.05, and it spiked down to like it was so volatile. Here, I'll show you what happened. I ended up scratching basically. So let me show you what I did. And now that was on comments from the deputy governor Lowe, I believe was his name. Yeah, it was Lane, deputy governor Lane. So what happened is I was so stupid. I didn't even see that he had spoke, right?
Yeah. And
I was in the bathroom. So
I saw it in the chat room. Someone talked about it in the new trading room.
Yeah, so here, let me see if I can do this on a 1-minute chart so you can kind of see this move. So right here, let me.
Yeah, I see that.
It was right here. Yeah, it was a spike, and I literally was sitting back down. I got my order filled at 123.05 right here.
Yeah.
It literally came back down to like 70 something, and I took it off the table. I'm like, what the hell happened? I wasn't even paying attention. So I got an order tripped. I made a quick 20 pips. Then it rallied back to 95. I shorted it again, and as you can see, it went higher. And then I ended up shorting a little bit more, up at like, I don't know, like 15 or something. And so I had a decent average, but when it came back down to 23.05, I closed that out for a small loss, but on a bigger position. So I ended up like scratching. I didn't trade it very well. And so even though that I called this recovery, doesn't necessarily mean that I traded it.
You only made money, Blake.
No. I actually ended up flatting. That's the problem with it, is I didn't make money.
Okay, JP Morgan made money.
Yeah, JP Morgan did make money, actually. So, but I also have I have an order to sell the dollar Canadian again, and just so everybody knows, this, as long as we are below 123.50, I am a seller. Okay, maybe even as high as 124. This is a multi-year trend line, and I want to be a seller. Now, let's stop for a moment and let's talk about tomorrow. So tomorrow, we have the FOMC. All right. I think that the entire market is waiting for a dollar rally following tomorrow. Now, you know, if you look at the dollar index and you see what a nasty downtrend we're in. Okay, this is a daily chart. We're in a nasty downtrend, and we know the point. I mean, I know the point where the dollar turns bullish. It's right here. I mean, any which way you slice it, we have to break the highs from last Thursday, I think. I guess it is right here.
Yeah.
Right here at 92.65. That's where we have to break highs for the dollar to be bullish. Now, everybody is expecting the dollar to rally. And fine, I'll jump on the bandwagon too if break, 92.60, 93. I mean, you got to get long. I mean, if this happens, you got to get long, right?
But they flush everyone first, Blake, is my guess.
Well, here's the thing. I don't necessarily think that the dollar is going to rally tomorrow. And there's a couple things that are leading me to believe that. First of all, I see the dollar Canadian up against, resistance around the 123.50 level. It's up against resistance. The pound is pushing up right now, but it pushed all the way down to like 134 and change, and where we're at right now. And I think the pound is still very bullish. Look, I'm going to try to position myself short the dollar between today and tomorrow. I want to buy the pound, so let's revisit the pound. So I want to buy the pound, and I don't know why this little line is all screwed up. So I want to buy the pound on a dip to 134. Okay, I don't know if we're going to get it, but I'm trying to get there, right? I want to sell the dollar Canadian on a move to like 123.50, and I kind of want to be positioned short the dollar going into the FOMC, because what is and who's to say that the FOMC is going to deliver us what the entire market wants, which is a dollar rally? I've read comments from Goonlock last week, from Jeffrey Goonlock. Oh, the dollar is poised to rally. It should rally now. Everybody has been talking about how bearish the dollar is and how it's ready to bounce. But the question that keeps popping up in my head is, why? Why is the dollar going to rally now? Why? Give me a really good reason that the dollar is going to rally at this moment in time. I look at the dollar longer term, and it's funny because I read some of the guys that are like, longer term, the dollar is still very bullish here. Is it? I mean, look, if you think about this from a weekly basis, all right, here, I'm grabbing my pen so I can do some drawing here. Just give me a second. Okay, so this is a weekly chart. The dollar made a big false breakout right here, right? Caught everybody long. Here we are breaking down. I mean, through this support. Okay. My 2 cents is the dollar already showed us its hand with the false breakout, and now it's reversing. So what's to say the dollar is going to rally from here? I mean, technically, I look at the dollar, and the only thing right now that could really support the dollar is the fact that we're at, some levels here from
where is that high?
Closing. That is from back in 2009.
What's the price?
89.50 roughly.
Okay. Thank
and
you.
We're at 92. So, making and you said it, making an, hold on, I got to close out my euro pound.
Okay.
Didn't stand by. Okay. Chatting with the guys in the chat room. You guys want to see the chat room here? I just told everybody that I just closed out the euro pound. We got a lot of new traders in our chat room now, which is because now it's opened up to people that, if you've got a ooh man, it's at 53. Shoot. Remember, there's Brexit negotiations happening this week, so just at the end of this week. So
look at what Ziggy put up there.
Ziggy's a funny guy, man. I tell you.
That's not me.
So that's you, Dale. That's you.
That's not my picture, man.
So anyway, I'm gonna put these guys are a bunch of goofballs in here, all of them. I tell you. But I just going back to what I was saying here. I would not be surprised if we stab and make another lower low. I want to be prepared for that. Now, look, I know where the dollar turns bullish, and I'll say it again. The dollar turns bullish above 92.60. And if I'm wrong, I know where I'm wrong, right?
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing. As long as you, like, one of the things, when I would coach traders individually for years. I don't do that anymore, but I did for years. And the first thing I would tell people is, you got everything backwards. Everything. Everybody's always in the market trying to figure out, oh, if I buy the euro here and it goes to 121, I'm going to make X. I say scratch that. You tell me where you're wrong first, and tell me if it's within your risk parameters. So that is number one to me at any given moment. If you buy, if you buy whatever you're going to buy or sell whatever you're going to sell, you tell me where you're wrong. And if you tell me where you're wrong, and you can live with that loss, that is where Boris Johnson will resign before the weekend if Theresa May goes against his Brexit demands. That's why the pound spiked higher. Okay. So anyway.
Blake, along with where you're wrong, people have to know why they're getting in, because if that contingency is negated, then they know where they're wrong.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So, why are you doing the trade? And if that reason is negated, you know where you're wrong.
True.
Right?
True. And so that's, in my opinion, it's super important when you're trading, is just knowing exactly where you're wrong and if you can mentally take it. So in this case, if I can get positioned short the dollar, which again, I don't know if I'm going to be able to. I mean, I'm looking at the pound, it's spiking up right now. It's like, shoot, I don't know if I'm going to get 134 out of it between today and tomorrow. I mean, I may, but that's where I'd like to buy it, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to. I'd like to short the dollar Canadian at 123.50. I just don't know if I'm going to be able to. But if I can get positioned short the dollar going into tomorrow's FOMC, I am going to do it. Now, again, and if the dollar index breaks above 92.60, I'm wrong. I'm going to have to cut my losses and actually reverse. And look, I welcome a move above these highs. I hope the entire market is right. I really do. Because I'm going to make a lot more money being long the dollar I'll make a lot more money being long the dollar than being short the dollar. I can guarantee you that. So I hope the market is right. You know, I hope the market is right and the dollar is ready for bounce. I just don't believe it yet. And I don't necessarily, I believe that the pain trade is lower for the dollar. I think people are trying to buy the dollar right now, and I think they're going to be caught wrong-footed tomorrow. Now, and look, if you go long the dollar, you have to know where you're wrong as well. I mean, right?
Yep.
You know, if you're going long the dollar, you got to say, if we break through those lows, I am wrong. And it's going to be, I'll tell you, it's going to be a pretty big. Here, I'm gonna actually do something really fast. Let me get rid. I don't want to get rid of this. I just want to make this a different color. Properties? No. There we go. Format? Yes. Color? Background? Let's do blue. There we go. Okay, that looks a little, I want to make it even lighter blue. Okay, this makes it a little bit easier to see the red lines. So going back to this, if you take this red line here, and let's make that dashed, let's take this red line here, and you make this this. No. Format dashed. Okay, yeah. Okay, so if you let me make that a little bit thicker. Okay, so if you take those two dashed lines, these are your two breakout points on the dollar. This is my plan. I mean, this is you guys want to know my plan for tomorrow? This is it right here. Okay, you know, if the dollar breaks above this line here, you're long the dollar. And then if it breaks down, obviously this is where it's gonna you know, carry some more downside through that dotted line, and that's okay. And like I said, I'd rather be positioned short the dollar in the direction of the trend. Ah, this stupid pound. Damn it.
Way to simplify the whole scenario, Blake.
Well, I'm not a rocket scientist. I'm not a brain surgeon. I'm farthest thing from it.
That's a problem. Really, people try and be, you know, intellectuals, and really, I think Forrest Gump. I think Forrest Gump would have been a great FX trader.
You know, I listen to some of these macro guys, and they are really too smart for their own good, and I'm sure they do fine. But you know, in the markets, but man, there's so many missed opportunities because they try to outthink the market, and you know, a lot of times you just really don't need to outthink the market. You just
they cover every side. It's not actionable. Here's typical CNBC analysis on the dollar, Blake. If the dollar rallies to 92.60 and goes above it, it's going to be good unless it rejects and reverses from there and heads down to new lows. And if support holds, it could reverse and head back up again. Tell me what you do with that. Huh?
That's great. That's a great analysis. That sounds like the kind of analysis I hear from a lot of these guys. And
yeah,
you know, and for me, it's very. I mean, it's very simple. Like the trend is lower. I know why the dollar is going down. I don't really see any change in that dynamic. And really, but there is one thing that I will tell you, that the bond market does look bearish. And if the bond market breaks down, that's just going to confirm that the dollar is going to rally. And that's the one thing I will be looking at tomorrow is, okay, if the bond market continues to break, we break this 618 retracement right here, the dollar is going to rally. I mean, that's all there is to it. But, you know, you look at gold as well, Dale. There's gold right here. I mean, gold. By the way, I bought gold yesterday. Okay. I bought it yesterday when we hit this trend line. It was down like this. I don't know why my trend line's kind of screwed up now, but we basically dropped to this trend line here, and I bought it, and ended up making like peanuts, and I got out of it. And I'm like, man, this is really key support for gold. Gold, I mean, gold actually, this is a bear flag pattern. So if you're, whoops, let me undot that. Let me go back to.
Oh yeah, the sideways stuff here.
Yeah. So this is actually flagging, right? Or pennant, or however you want to look at it. It's bearish right now. But I'll tell you, this is a very tempting place to be long gold as well. It is, as much as it looks like a pennant, I think if we can get above 1310, you know, this is the place to buy. There are so many people who were long gold last week. They were long gold as it was breaking through this 1330, 1340. I mean, a lot of people got sucked into the long gold trade, and they're just getting their ass handed to them right now. And
not if they were
fine.
here in phase play. Not if they were here and heard your analysis.
That's right. You know, well, at least Stelios's analysis, but that we had to wiggle out the weak longs anyway. And the question is, do we rally from here? And I, like I said, I want to be a buyer of gold. I mean, if the dollar drops, then gold is going to gold's gonna rally from here. So I'm just trying to figure out how I'm going to position myself ahead of tomorrow. And I'm the more that I'm looking at the market this morning, the more that I'm realizing that it's going to be very difficult for me to position myself short the dollar. Like I said, we're going to have to see a 70-80 spike higher in the dollar Canadian, or 70-80 pip spike lower in the pound dollar for me to be involved. And I just don't know if it's going to be the case. I really don't, you know. So one of the other things that I did overnight is I shorted the euro yen. If you use, you know, ForexAnalytix last night, the euro yen here, let me just show you really quick wherever my euro yen is.
Look at all those instruments. You can't even find it.
No, I mean, I had them a little jumbled up. You can adjust those, but I just have them jumbled up a little bit right now. Last night, here is the 4-hour chart. This is what it looked like. This is the 4-hour last night. We're like, okay, if it rallies to 134, 134.20, this is going to be a short. And if you read the analysis from yesterday, what's yesterday? The 19th. Yesterday was the 18th. Euro yen has major Fibonacci confluence at the 161% extension and 618 from 134.04 to 134.32 level with the daily RSI divergent, 4-hour overbought, and this may be a good level to take profits or look for fresh shorts at 134. I got an order filled at 133.98. We went as high in the euro yen. We went as high in the euro yen as where the euro yen go. I think like 134.04 or something like that. It's really close to that. Anyway,
134.17 is the quote I have, Blake.
134.7. Oh yeah, 134.17.
Yes.
We went as high as 134.17. So we went right into the fib levels. Thanks, Steve. Went right into the fib levels and we reversed. And so I think the euro yen is a great, it's a great setup for a short. I closed out of my position when that news broke of the ECB, quote unquote, ECB sources, but you know, and we got housing data coming out here in just 1 second. I'm going to cover that really fast before Steve talks. So we have housing starts, we got building permits, U.S. current account, manufacturing sales, import prices out of the U.S. I was telling the guys in the chat room, look, Arizona housing market has come to a standstill. And it's a hot housing market, usually is, and it's usually kind of a leader. So I wouldn't be surprised over the next few months we start seeing the housing market really start to slow down. You know, with rates threatening to go higher, it's starting to make, you know, some of these prices more unattainable for buyers. So I would, like I said, I think going into the fall, housing prices are probably going to start to disappoint a little bit. But anyway, we have, I don't know if this is going to be much of a market mover, this data, but we'll see. Data is out, and it looks like, you know, actually not horrible data here. I just got all these alerts that came through, and then they just disappeared.
Bad Canadian data, though, Blake.
Ooh. Well, let's see if that dollar Canadian came even go higher. The building permits came in better than expected. Import prices were better. And I'm looking for the housing starts. Housing starts came in slightly better than expected. So, I mean, overall, the data is good. The dollar Canadian, it tried to move up a little bit, but, you know, I hope the dollar Canadian can get up to 123 and change. I'm just hoping. I just don't know if it's going to happen. Anyway, looks fairly slow at the moment. But I'll tell you, I am looking for the pound. If it drops down to the 134s again, I'm very much interested in being long the pound dollar. And the dollar Canadian above 123, I'll start looking at it as a possible short again. But Steve, how are you doing this morning?
Good. I'm good, Blake. How have you been? How was your sleep?
Good. You know, I slept pretty well, and you know, today is the first morning. Now it's dark out here. You know, it's 5 o'clock in the morning, but ever since like 4, I've had my windows open, which means the weather at night is really nice here. So it's the first time, you know, I'm getting decent weather here in Arizona.
Finally, do you still need you don't need the air at night anymore?
No, we need the air, but now it stagnates a little bit.
Yeah,
you know,
that's good, man.
It's not kicking all the time now, but no, I slept all right, and you know, looking forward to a busy day.
Yeah, although I'm not really sure we're going to get much action today as well, given the
tomorrow,
fact that as you very well said, that, you know,
when's the BOJ, guys?
Tonight.
Sorry?
Okay.
Yeah. The BOJ is no, it's Wednesday night.
So we got everything.
Everything's tomorrow. Yeah, everything's tomorrow. BOJ is tomorrow.
And then you know, we haven't even brought up the elections, which look like a done deal in Germany, right?
Yeah, the elections are a done deal in Germany since a long time ago. I mean,
okay.
Merkel is way ahead in polling against Schulz, and it looks like the SPD is going to have an easy time there. I think that you know, there isn't even the possibility of a surprise to see something different there. I mean, the possibilities are like you know, more than extraordinary. So. Yeah, the German elections thing is a tough
there you go. Good deal. Hey, well, I'm going to let you guys take over from here, and I'm sure you got a lot to talk about. So thanks for everything.
Good hunting, bro.
Good hunting.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye, Dave. Bye-bye, Blake.
Okay, I'm still here, buddy. Steve.
Yeah,
you're lucky.
I know.
Steve, you're lucky you're in Greece. You know why? What's worse than a hurricane? You know?
What's worse than a hurricane? A
titty twister, and it hurts. And if you were here,
oh my god! Oh my god!
I couldn't help myself. I learned that in 4th grade. So anyway,
okay. So it's not a cheated wife. Although I have absolutely no personal experience, but I've heard some bad stories.
Okay, buddy.
Okay. First of all, I would want to fast go through a few things, because let's be honest. Yesterday, more or less, it was a boring day for the markets. There is a good chance that we're going to have one more of those today. And I'm guessing that starting tomorrow, the week is going to start picking up in volatility. And of course, it's going to create some interest, and you know, probably will offer some nice setups. But regardless, we still have a few things that I want to point out. It's like 4, 5, 6 pairs that you know, had some quite important developments. One of them is the Aussie. Why? Because simply the Aussie. I know that our friend Grega is bearish the Aussie, and I'm inclined to believe that we might have topped here. If you remember, I was expecting this push to new highs since we were down there, thinking that it has a good likelihood of being terminal. But on the other hand, I have to I have to stress out once again that the level I was watching for some confirmation was this confluence of this ascending channel support and this
which it held and moving averages. What would convince you, because to me the pattern looks incomplete, what would convince you that we're going to challenge that high again, Steve?
First of all, let's delete all that because it has already transpired, and let me tell you what my two scenarios are at the moment.
Okay.
Scenario number one, which bodes well with what you're saying here, is this.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
Scenario number one is this, in which case,
right, rederives.
I could easily see one more last move there.
81.35 is 1.272.
Before pushing lower, okay?
Okay.
And obviously in this case, the support is going to be something like this. So, you know, something
would it be
like
an
this,
ending diagonal up there if we got up there?
Yes.
Okay.
Or as we call it in basic technical analysis, an ascending wedge. Okay, so something like this is not out of the question. And for me, as long as this zone is holding, this scenario is definitely a scenario that is likely to happen. Okay, so I would like to be short the Aussie, but from what I'm seeing here, I cannot be yet. On the other hand, if we have a look at Kiwi had a major rejection yesterday, which kept alive the possibility of this being some kind of a triangle, but it's making an effort again to close above it. As you see, this general area that we also find the 50 DMA has provided resistance plenty of times since the first days of August. So if we clear above it, it's more than obvious that we had one leg left higher in the Kiwi as well. But as you see, Kiwi is more messed up as a technical pattern, so that's why I'm focusing more on the Aussie. So this is what I'm seeing on the Aussie. So I either want to see a close below this 79.60 or a new high and rejection up there. So I wanted to stress out that this support holding today is something that prevents me from being short biased pair yet. Okay. On the other hand, the USD NOK, okay, wrong chart. Okay, so on the other hand, the USD NOK, it's another pair I wanted to have a look at. As you see, once again, we can only count here like, a recovery that is, for the time being, in a channel. You can call it a flag or whatever. Of course, we haven't still closed below it, but we're definitely testing once again levels that would indicate that the break below them might even push once again to new lows before we get a deeper correction. So also the USD NOK is currently like testing a very critical level. So perhaps none of these are going to get resolved today in expectation of what the dollar is going to do tomorrow. But I want to note some pairs that are already sitting on major supports, resistances, etc., because I think these might give us the first signals of what the dollar is going to do once we get to see some response to tomorrow's FOMC. Okay. On the other hand, another ticker that's of interest, and we had talked about it several times, is crude. If you remember, our target in crude was always the 51.50 to 52, since we were rebounding here from the 46 level again. And as I was also saying in the chat room, besides the fact that this correction lower was clearly in a three-wave pattern, we are also seeing here an inverted head and shoulders formation, which actually targets even higher than my initial target, which is between 51.50 and 52. Actually, if we even want to see exactly where it's targeting, we just need to.
And we have this as a pattern in play by Greg, I believe.
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement with Greg on that. I would say that the target of the inverted head and shoulders pattern is a 53. I need to stress out once again here that between technical traders, there is a debate about if head and shoulders and inverted head and shoulder patterns can also be counted as valid when they're actually presenting themselves as continuation patterns and not found in a bottom or a top of a trend. Personally, I do pay attention to them. I know that other people, dismiss them completely if they find them in an area like this one. So, anyhow, my target was always.
I used to, Steve. I used to at my peril, and some guy, brought me. I forgot the name of the author that uses them as a continuation formation. Classic guys that were schooled on Edwards McGee that they won't accept it. But I've seen them work so many times. I couldn't ignore them anymore.
Me too. And something, I might not trade them like exclusively because they're there, but if I have confluences and other things pointing me to the same direction, it will definitely influence a decision I'm going to make. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So in this case, I remain bullish. Crude, the inverted head and shoulders target is at 53. Personally, as a first target, I'm looking for 51.50, which is these highs there, to 52. Even if we go to the weekly, it's more than obvious, the importance of that area. So I think that nobody has a reason to be bearish crude at the moment. Since we got the recovery that we expected down there, even with the corrective move lower we had, the only move I didn't expect here, to be honest, at all, was this flash out we had on Friday, because especially with all the geopolitical risk we recently had, I would never have expected people to be selling crude ahead of a weekend, because Nick has said it plenty of times as well. Usually when something happens, crude is always going to gap higher and not lower. So why would you want to get yourself caught being short? You know what I mean? Anyhow, so crude is another pair I wanted us to have a look. Dollar, I think there is nothing else left to say in the dollar. I'm still seeing this descending wedge. As long as we don't close above 93, I've said it plenty of times, I cannot even discuss the possibility of turning bullish. On the other hand, I'm in the boat with you, because I can also see the possibility of one more low before actually correcting higher, because this will also fit the criteria of a descending wedge, and is also going to probably inflict the maximum pain in the market, because there are a lot of people that have already started getting long the dollar with stops below the low. So what would be more convenient than taking them out, flushing them out of the market, and then and then rallying with all these people stopped out?
Where's your blue line come in in the next few days?
Depends on where we find it. When.
Yeah, it depends on the time, but ballpark.
Yeah, I would say
90, 70?
90, 50 to 91. Depends on
90, 50. All right, thank you.
Yeah. So another pair I wanted us to have a look at, I've given, I think 1 billion warnings about it. And in my book, it has already broken out.
You're like Carl Sagan.
Is Euro-Swiss.
You love billions, man.
In my opinion, this has already broken out since the 12th of the month. That we actually closed above 114.40. This looks like a complete pattern to me. I'm not sure what kind of pattern it was, because small corrective patterns you can interpret in multiple ways. So for example, you might want to interpret it like a triangle. You might want to interpret it as I had it, or as a bull flag. It doesn't really matter, because what it matters here, since I was more or less convinced that this was a continuation pattern, was where the resistance line was. Okay, and I think that the resistance line was more or less well defined. Okay, you could redefine it a little bit by doing it like this, but we have still broken above it. You know what I mean? And we seem to be holding, and I see no substantial resistance to 120. The market had already had its opportunity and chance to spend some time correcting in time. The fact that it did not manage to correct in distance, and it only managed to do so in time, in my opinion, is also another verification, of the bullishness of the pattern. So it looks very good. And unless we get something like, very spicy in event risk that can actually get you know, a lot of flows to the Swissy, I think it will play out. Okay, so we can now go ahead and have a look at questions. Pound getting bid on Johnson threatening to resign, correct? Yeah, that's funny actually. I think Wednesday's close in the USD is key, definitely V. Could you please analyze EuroCAD? Yes, of course. Let's have a look at it. Okay, the EuroCAD completed to the pip our initial target when we sorted it up there. Of course, I wasn't still there. I took profits, you know, on the way. If you remember, we had, you know, we had seen this multiple times after the wedge break, but it had never reached my initial target because the initial target was the confluence back there of the 200 DMA, the gap that we had created in the what was it, 24th of the month, yes, of April, and it was back then also the equality target of a possible A, B, C leg lower. So it was down there. Okay, we actually first rebounded, we came down, we tested that, we finally filled that gap, and now we're rebounding once again. As you see, technically speaking, this is not so clean anymore, right? I mean, we fulfilled some downside targets, but on the other hand, we have spent now a considerable amount of time being below 150 and roughly most of the times above 144.80. So we've spent now a considerable time within the 500 pip range. Regardless, I would have to tell you that I would be watching this area that we tested today, and we're getting rejected of it at the moment. Let me. Okay, so I would be watching this area. So let's see what happens from this area today. For the time being, we're getting rejected. This is the 50 DMA as well. As long as we stay below this area, I think that somebody doesn't have a reason of being long, because even if you want to be long, where would you put your stop loss? Below here, but this is the same distance as the next major resistance area. Okay, so you know the reward to risk ratio is barely there, and it's a coin toss in my opinion. So watch this area. If we penetrate above it, I would say that you can also draw some fibs, and obviously, you know, in the short term, if we do this, we're going to find some targets there as well. So let's see. Okay, so we have the 61.8 being where it is at 148.30, but for me, after breaking above this area, is all going to be about 150 once again. Okay, so if as long as we stay here, I'm tilted to believe that, you know, it remains bearish. If we break above it, I would still do nothing, because I would really want to see a break above 150. With a break above 150, I would be more than certain that we're headed to new highs. Okay, so if I see a break of this zone, I think that we are actually gonna go easily to new highs. So, for example, I would rather either be short here if I want to take a trade, or wait for a break above 150, a retest of it, and then looking to be long. Okay, so this is a broad view of the EuroCAD. GBP CAD, I'm guessing that is. Of course, let's have a look at it. Unfortunately, nothing much has changed with it, and I'm saying unfortunately because I should have been long here. I wasn't, and I would love to see a move lower to be long. So any move back to 163.70 to 163 is an amazing buying opportunity in my opinion. But we're not doing that yet. Okay. From what I see here, though, there is a little chance, because as you see, if I go down to a 4-hour chart, that's what I did at the moment, there is the possibility that we are currently on a last push of this leg higher. Let me repeat, of this leg higher. So it's not that I believe that a breakdown from this wedge, so we might get something like this, So it's not that I believe that a breakdown from this wedge is going to be bearish and we're going to be headed to new lows, because I will still be looking for an opportunity to buy down here to be long once again. So I'm hoping that this might be an ascending wedge, and a break below it, a little bit later, is going to give us a nice buying opportunity. I want to believe that, this market is not going to run away from me. I'm hoping. If it happens, it did. If not, nothing much I can do about that. So that's what I see with the pound CAD.
Put a magnet on your screen. Drag it down. Try dragging it down.
Honestly, I wish I could. I wish I could. And now we have a question, and this brings us, and it doesn't work, unfortunately. I know exactly what you mean.
Sometimes.
Okay, we have a question that we don't get to have often, and it's what's happening with the USD TRY, the Turkish lira. Okay, so this is what's happening with it. We have been riding the broken triangle line for a big period of time, and we seem to have found a low like a few days ago, and we're currently once again testing a resistance area. So it can prove to be bullish once again. This slow drift lower, to be honest, this price action, which is like, look at it, we've talked about this kind of things many times. This price action, it's choppy, it's
Correct.
overlapping, it's taking a long time to unfold, but it's definitely not impulsive. And given that the trend was clearly, undisputedly bullish, I mean, look at it. You're now seeing price action since 2008. Yeah. Okay, there is absolutely no person on the planet that can claim that this is not a clean uptrend. Okay, so
are they having a currency crisis there, Steve? If we kept going up, is this like a non-confidence vote on Erdogan with what's happened in the last?
Listen, the situation in Turkey is not good. It's not good at all. Turkey is in a whole lot of trouble that begins from the fact that it's, politically speaking, it's theoretically a democracy, but it's as close to a dictatorship as possible. In my opinion, much worse than the situation in Russia.
I think they're taking heat because they made a military sale, I think, to Russia recently.
They have multiple issues. They have issues with Syria. They have issues with the Kurds that live there. They have internal issues. There is a whole divide in if the country should revert back to more of the Islamic values or religious values, etc.
Yeah. You ever see the movie Midnight Express?
Definitely, it's horrifying, isn't it?
I just can't trade the lira after seeing that movie.
Yeah, it was a good movie actually, very realistic. I remember it was an 80s movie. I had actually seen it when I was very young for the first time, and I remember it had made an impact on me.
Yeah, it's still a nightmare. Go ahead.
Yeah. What I'm trying to say here is that I'm not buying that this is a bearish move. You know what I mean? In the medium to long term. I'm answering now to our friend that asked about it. So I still have no really strong signal to be long. No confirmation yet. But honestly speaking, this is a major line, by the way. This blue one is a major line, if you see here. So as long as we stay above this trend line, and we're also holding this resistance that is now acting as support, I'm inclined to look higher for the USD TRY. Okay. And speaking of that, I have to say that I was bullish the USD ruble until we, because we haven't seen these currencies, in some time, until we actually created this not so beautiful, but still you can count it as a head and shoulders formation, which I had marked there. So that's the point I stopped being bullish. And on the other hand, as you see, this bounce that we're seeing here doesn't look like impulsive to me. So, for example, USD ruble, I think that we're approaching resistance once again for whoever is trading it at around like 58, 58 and a half. So I think this still looks bearish as well. The Singaporean dollar found major support, but it still hasn't proved that it's bullish. I mean, yes, it found major support and rebounded, but does this look bullish to you? No, it doesn't. So the USD TRY looks better than many for the dollar. I mean, than many other exotic currencies, and that's what I'm trying to say. So USD TRY, if you're looking to be long the dollar against some exotic currency, I think that the Turkish lira looks better than others. That's my point here. And by the way, the USD ZAR is still, and this is something I'm having a look at every couple of days, because I'm actually going to end up trading this. Why? Because it's in a very, very clean triangle. So I really want to be involved with this as long as it actually produces a breakout. I think that we've already had multiple tests, both of the resistance and the support lines of the triangle. This proves to me that this pattern is important for the market. It's important for the people trading it. So I think that a clean breakout from this should create some kind of an acceleration and should at least produce some profits. Okay.
Hey, Steve, I have a quick question. I know you follow everything because once I was joking, I asked you about the Zlotny. And, Russia's been running these live fire military exercises. I'm wondering if there are any
near NATO borders, yeah.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there are any Baltic currencies that you follow that
no,
are being
not really.
Nothing? Okay.
Not really.
They have their own, like Estonia, they have their own currency and things like that?
Estonia has the euro.
Okay. All right. So most of the Baltics use the euro?
Plenty of them, yes.
Okay. Thank you, buddy.
USD Swissy. Okay, the USD Swissy, unfortunately, I cannot do much to help you. I mean, I can give you two important levels, because other than that, this has spent already a lot of time being very, very choppy. So look at this. Clearly defined, we have a level here between 97.50 and 97.70. This is undeniably a critical resistance. On the other hand, we had three major tests of this 94, call it 30 support, and it has held. So let me reiterate again what I've said. I'm short biased the Swissy. So if you're looking to be long the dollar, you would rather do it against the USD Swiss than the Euro USD. Okay, so if you want to have positioning being long the dollar, this is the currency pair of your choice instead of the Euro USD. And in this case, you definitely don't want to see a drop below 94.30 or a daily close below it. Okay, as long as we stay above it, we can move once again to the 97.50, 97.70. The question is, are we going to break it this time? Because just count the times that we have been testing this area. I mean, they might be like close to 10. Okay, and every single time we failed. In essence, we are currently in the middle of two areas that have proved to be extremely important for the market. So the only thing I can tell you is that if I had one way or another to be short or long this currency pair being in the middle of the zone, I would choose to be long. Why? Because I'm seeing this trend line here, which isn't that important. That's why I'm going to make it intermittent. That has acted as a resistance sometimes, and it has held a support this time. So if I was forced to have some kind of exposure, and let me delete all that we have already done, I would be long. Sorry?
I said my 357 Magnum's pointed right at your head, so you have to make it. You have to do it.
Yeah. So I would be long, looking for 975 with a stop up below this low here at 95.60. But being who I am, I have no position here. And I'm not looking to have a position here unless we either get back on one of the two zones or break above or below it decisively. Okay, on the other hand, because it bodes well with this, I want to stress out something. There is still a possibility that the Euro USD is currently forming a head and shoulders formation here. You see? This.
Someone said that in the chat room. That it could
I mentioned it in the chat room. I don't know if somebody mentioned it before because I was in a meeting. But you know, I mentioned that in the chat room as well. That there is there is a friend of ours in the chat room that mentioned that if you go down to a 4-hour chart, you can see an inverted head and shoulders pattern. But I'm looking at the big picture here at the daily. So there is still the chance, the possibility that this might prove to be a little head and shoulders formation with the neckline being the anyhow well proven support resistance zone of 118.60, 70, roughly there. So if that indeed happens, let's say that we see dollar strength tomorrow and we do break below here, that means two things. First of all, we are triggering a little head and shoulders pattern here for the euro, and finally we can be looking for a deeper correction for the pair, perhaps towards finally the breakout level of 114.50. That's A. I'm not. On the other hand, at the same time, this would create this kind of move higher to at least test, and we see what happens from there, the 97.50. So now you know what to expect from both currency pairs, and you know, technically speaking, they will be interesting, especially if we get dollar strength tomorrow. Okay, but this is a hypothesis. Let's first see what we get tomorrow.
Well, if that's a head and shoulders top in euro, you're going to get your 93 confirmation in the Dixie.
Yes, absolutely. Since 57, I think, percent of the DXY is the euro. So yes, undeniably. Okay, so is your guest here, Dale?
Yes, Steve?
Is your guest here, mate?
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Okay, so I already took like 3 minutes of your time. Thank you, everybody, and I'm going to see you tomorrow or in the chat room, you know, for our ForexAnalytix friends.
Great stuff, Steve.
Okay, thank you, Dale. Enjoy the interview. Great
stuff. And now I think we're going to have some more good stuff. Stick around for Hardianto, Sonoto, Hardianto. I'm passing you the controls. Looking forward to hearing your voice, seeing your screen. So Face, welcome Hardianto Sonoto to our community. I know a lot of you are familiar with Hardy. Hello, Hardy. How are you?
I know. Can you hear me?
I can hear you clean, see your chart, see everything here. So, wow, is this your first interview?
Yes.
As an FX trader, so thank you. You know, a lot of people are nervous about that, and you didn't even really hesitate for more than a minute. So you have the heart of a lion. So you are a lion. That's where I met Hardy, and I have a theory that great traders aren't necessarily famous. Okay, they don't have 50,000 Twitter followers. They're not real well known, but they just make money. Not always, but usually. So thank you for proving my theory out, Hardy. I think that you qualify. You know, you're not a famous guy. You trade for your own account. You do it for yourself. You don't have a business model at this time. You have no axe to grind. And I remember you coming into the rooms and sharing your charts, and before the trade would manifest, you would put up charts, and I said to myself, this guy has skills. So thanks for following me over here to Face, buddy.
You're
and
yeah,
I also know that you went to college out here in California. So tell me, how does an 18-year-old kid from Jakarta end up going to school in California?
To tell you the truth, I just want to get away from my parents when I went to college. I just want to get as far as I can,
That's a good reason.
Yeah, so that's why
everyone goes
to the US. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I only went about 90 miles away, so you went like 9,000 or so.
Yeah, I
So,
think it's like 3,000 miles.
Oh, okay. All right. So that meant you didn't always go home on holidays and stuff. So what were your studies and what was the name of the university?
I major in chemical engineering from Cal Poly Pomona.
Okay. All right. And so let's talk about the beginning of your journey. So I'm assuming you used your education and went out into the work world, and they're in high demand, people with that kind of degree and background. So you probably did that. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you did and how you got involved in trading and FX? Tell us how that happened for you.
Yeah, actually, when I graduated, I worked over there because my focus was on oil refinery. So when I got out of school, that was the peak of the oil. I think it was like 150 a barrel or something.
Yes.
So a lot of jobs were, they need a lot of people for the oil. So I started working over there for a couple of years. And then I came back to Indonesia in 2008. So exactly right before the subprime mortgage crisis.
Right.
Yeah, so I went back here and then I watched, like every day when I watch the news, I watch how the stock market crumbles. Like
Yes.
every day you got like a really bad decline.
Right.
So in 2009, I actually started trading the local stock market over here in Indonesia because everything was so cheap. I mean, you could get like the big caps stocks, like I think it's like 1/8 or 1/10 the previous price. So I started buying those. Yeah, I started buying those stocks, and then but I didn't know what I was doing. So I was just looking at it, and I was saying to myself, it was really cheap. I mean, for 1/10 of the price, I just go buy it and just keep it for. I was thinking of like keeping it for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think I only like after 3 or 4 months, my stocks was going up really fast. I think I was like making like 2-3 times my initial investment. So I was thinking to myself, I mean,
Yeah.
wow, that's a nice way to make money.
Yeah. They usually say, there's a superstition that says if it's from the floor that if your first trade is a winning trade, it's bad luck. But it wasn't for you, so you just proved another theory.
No, it wasn't because, I started at the right time, So everything I bought that time, like the next day will just go up, even though I don't know what I'm doing. And I don't know what's doing with it. So everything I bought just keep going up. So I started after that I started like learning stuff about like how to really trade the stock market and everything.
Okay.
So I started learning all the technical analysis.
Yeah. Were there any books or people that influenced you early when you started looking around to figure out technical analysis? I see you gravitated towards Elliott. I'm sure. Did you start off with Elliott right away, or did you go through a few changes before you got there?
In the beginning, I was reading Alexander Elder's book and Martin Brink's on basic technical analysis.
I know that.
Yeah. At the beginning, I was using just basic technical analysis, But like a lot of my friends, some of them learned how to do Elliott waves, and they were saying like how cool Elliott wave was. Me being a newbie, so I was like, oh, really? Like, oh, there's a better way to trade it. I started learning Elliott waves out of that.
Okay. Who were your influences there in Elliott wave?
I read Robert Prechter's book on Elliott wave principle. Okay.
Did that book help you or throw you off?
No, actually, it was very useful, that book. It helped me a lot when I was learning. I started learning the Elliott waves.
Okay, so just because Prechter's been, was bearish, for a long time and wrong, and they pull him out on CNBC every time there was a sell-off, and people use it as a buy signal. His book, some people can teach and some people could do, and so his book was useful to you because there were so many other I knew a guy named Glenn Neely who had something called Neil Wave, and there's so many different Elliott Wave guys out there. So it was Proctor and who else? I'm sure there was.
I was somebody over here in Indonesia, actually, another trader. So he mentored me on Elliott Waves. Yeah, I don't think you know him because he's just trading for his own account. So I met him through this trading community over here, and he mentored me on Elliott Waves too.
Wow, that's cool. So you found a community right there in your own country before LAR or some of the other trading rooms. You already had the advantage of being in like a chat room and sharing and learning from traders better than you.
No, not really. A lot of people are just new to the stock market too, you know. But some of them are really good. So I started trolling them actually. You know, I keep asking them, "Can you teach me this?" You know.
Yeah.
So so I lucky for me, I found a couple mentors who are really good, and they taught me a lot of my trading technical analysis knowledge.
Okay, so I asked this question because, you know, I think a lot of people have unrealistic expectations as to when they'll become consistent and be able to pull money out of the market. How many years would you say it took you to have a level of confidence that, you know, you didn't go into the day hoping you didn't lose, but went into the day looking for opportunities to make money and it started to be evident on your P&Ls?
It took me a good 3 to 4 years to really have a confidence in my analysis, you know, and then start pulling the trigger too.
Okay, you know,
at the beginning, you know, I was able to do some analysis, but I couldn't pull the trigger. You know, sometimes when you look at it, it's like, is it gonna work? And like I started doubting myself.
Right.
Yeah, but after a good like 4 years, I would say 4 years, I was pretty confident with my analysis.
Okay. Did you ever blow out an account at the beginning?
Yes, I did. My FX account.
Okay. All right. So you had that experience, and I don't know hardly anyone that hasn't. So what did you learn from Elliott that gave you good risk management? Because, you know, I believe the difference between pros and amateurs are pros know how to lose, so they have money left to be right with. Blake stresses it all the time. Where are you wrong? Know where you're wrong. So now after your 4-year period and your, you know, I hope it wasn't a lot in your FX account that went to zero. When did you start becoming, what would be your worst drawdown since you became confident in your trading?
I think my worst drawdown was like almost 10% or something.
Almost? Okay, well, almost 10% is really not bad. It's, you know, there again, you know, you had 90% of your capital left. You know, I've even seen hedge fund guys, you know, come back. They've had 20, 30% drawdown. So, okay, 10%. And I think you actually told me, I said, how did you do last year? You know, how many months did you make money in, say, the last 12 months? How many were green? How many were red?
The last 12 months,
yeah,
almost all of them actually are green.
Okay, well, okay. So I also want to know, in your part of the world, we were talking a little about this, how do people react when, you know, you meet somebody for the first time, or, you know, you might be at a party or at some friend's house, and how do people react when they ask you what you do and you say you're an FX trader?
like you're a gambler or something?
like you're a little bit.
Like, yeah, a lot of people over here are skeptical about forex trading, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's almost the same as you're going to the casino or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, I'm also sure that like most traders, especially parents who spend a ton of money on their children's education in college. They must have some questions for you when you decided to leave, what you got your degree in and become a trader. What were their reasons for having reservations? And I know I faced it. My mother said, honey, get a real job. So how did your family react to your decision to be an FX trader?
Well, I was pretty lucky. I'm pretty lucky actually. I have a great parents. They really let you make your own decision in life. Even when college, like how a lot of kids have to ask the parents like what to study. Like the parents telling them to take this special, like this one major they really want.
Right.
My parents didn't do that. So they let them, like when I told them like I want to go to US to go to college, like okay, let's go. And they didn't even ask me to study whatever they want. So they just let me decide to do whatever I want. So even when I told them over here, I mean they're a little bit worried, but eventually they'll let me just. I mean you're a grown up man, so if you make your decision, just live with it. So.
Okay. Wow. So that's excellent support from your support system. So you were fortunate that, because I think you did tell me, and I just want to bring up the point that your parents were worried about it because they had some friends that lost all their money in the market and actually, went for the permanent solution for a temporary problem, actually committed suicide. So, it's guys, you know what? It's never, there's, as long as you have breath, you have hope. And really, I know it sounds trite, it's only money. I know many people can't take it if they've, flushed a lot of money down the toilet in the market or have taken big hits. But really, the key is everyone gets knocked down. The key is to get up. So that's the end of my homily, Artie. So let's get to the markets. Last week, I saw you on Twitter right before the BOE, and that was a great scalp. And thanks for sharing your ideas, because a lot of people on Twitter are also from the communities I've facilitated now at FACE, and you helped a lot of people buy that wave 4 low. And that was a great trade. So tell us what you're seeing now.
Yeah, last week I think I was I bought it right after BOE at 13170. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was the wave, the little wave 4 in so wave 4 of wave 3, and I took it out at 134 because I was thinking the wave 3 is going to be done over there, but actually it extended to 136.
Okay, I want to ask you. Because a lot of people really beat themselves up, even when they make money. Okay, so that was a great trade, but you weren't there for that final explosion. What was your thought process? Was it, if I only would have, could have, should have, or you just, what did you feel emotionally after you got out and then saw the pound explode without you?
I didn't feel left out because I took a pretty good profit at 134. So mm-hmm. Even when the pound went up more, I was just looking for another way, another place to enter the trade. So that's why yesterday I posted another tweet on my Twitter account, looking to get long again in pound.
Okay, what a great reaction.
Yeah,
that's
yeah, I mean, if you're being greedy, sometimes you're never gonna get enough. You're gonna hold that position for like sometime too long, and instead you lose some of your profits. So I'll just take whatever the market give me, and then if it goes up, then I'll just find another way to get in.
Okay, yeah, that's a warrior attitude. So. A lot of people will say, well, would have, could have, should have had a piece on, but you just go right to your default position is next.
Yeah, so, actually, I wasn't even watching the market that day, the day the pound went up more. because yeah, after that I closed my position like a couple hours after BOE because it reached my target area already. So after that, the next day I was busy with something, so I didn't even look at the market. So
Okay. All right. So now you think we might get this pullback. I know that Blake would love to see your scenario unfold for a pullback to around the 134. What do you have, 15 area or 30 area, something like that?
Actually, I agree with Blake. I'm looking for somewhere around like 3380, 3390, or even 34. I'll probably split my entry around there, and then looking another push to. I'm looking for 138 at least, but I think we might see even 140 if pound is if the dollar is showing some more weakness.
Okay. That brings me to an interesting question. I know that you love my jokes, so you followed me from lard to face. But you're accomplished in your own right. I'm curious why someone who really doesn't need any help or any kind of guidance still likes to be part of a community and subscribe to services. For what reason do you do that?
I mean, it's a good place to get an idea. So, I mean, there are so many pairs in FX market. I mean, sometimes I don't watch all of them. I was focusing on some, so I missed the move in some pairs. But by following the community when they're like discussing the stuff, I can just look at the chart immediately and then like, oh, okay, I missed that part. So I get like some ideas that or I could look at something that I didn't even see in that chart.
Yeah, so FACE, like LAR, is a community filled with professionals that aren't just trying to learn, but actually live off the market. And even when you're accomplished, you only have two eyes. And I know Blake has said that he's gotten a lot of great ideas from his private, no longer private, but live trading room. So, okay, so we're looking for a 4 in the pound and then 138. Do you think that's going to be it? I'm looking for one more low in the dollar. Pound's been way outperforming Euro as EG fell apart. Do you have a similar view in Euro?
No, actually, on Euro, it's almost. I think it's almost ending the move. It's like the last push. Yeah. I think we're doing 4 now too, but the thing is, I don't know if the 4 is good doing a triangle or it's done right here already, So we're moving to 5 already, because I have a bearish EG view too, so that's why I'm thinking Euro is it's at the last push of the move up.
You think we could make another new high? I'm actually looking for a 3. It looks like we have.
Yeah, I'm thinking we're going to make a new high around 122, something like that.
Okay, so that's even higher than I'm looking for. So, and that's a 50% retrace from what, the 140 high?
Yeah, the 140 high, that's right.
Okay, because I had it 50% at 2150. Okay, so I'll have to look at my fibs again. So, okay, I see you use fibs. I see you use RSI. What do you use the RSI for?
Just to find a divergence, because usually wave 3 and wave 4, wave 3 and wave 5 show some divergence usually. Okay.
How about wave 1s? You ever catch bottoms because of RSI? You use any of the things that I talk about all the time?
I use your 3 drive method sometimes.
Okay. All right, cool. I'm glad I passed it on to you. So what else are you looking at going into what could be a pretty wild windup of the week coming up with the Fed, BOJ? Let me ask you this: do you take positions, hold positions into red events like the Fed, NFP, BOJ, or it doesn't matter and you just pretend, whatever the market does, it does?
Yeah, I just take whatever. If the market does it, then I just take it into the news. So I don't really. I know the schedule of the news, but I don't really consider it to my position because I have a stop loss and everything.
Okay, even on wild days like the NFP where it could rally, Euro could be up 100, down 100, lots of noise for a while, volatility. It doesn't bother you.
It does, yeah, it doesn't work because I don't really trade like in a small time frame because I usually do a swing trade, so the volatility is not that crucial, like that really
Okay.
important. Yeah,
Wow.
but sometimes I usually take like half off or something like that if I have like a pretty good profit.
Okay. All right. So that's your money management. What's your average risk per trade?
Somewhere around 1 to 2% of my account.
Okay. Anything else instrument wise you want to wrap it up with and show us?
Yeah, actually, I'm pretty bullish the yen cross pairs. So I want to show you
Okay.
some euro yen.
Okay.
I think euro yen. I think it's going to make a retracement to a wave 4, but I'm still pretty bullish on it. I actually bought some at 115 at this low.
I remember.
Yeah, and then I added more at like 122. Yeah, and then I'm still holding some left from the old positions. I still have some position.
That goes back to April.
Yeah.
Huh.
I took some off for the profit and everything, but I still have a small position.
So do you usually try and hold a core position and trade off of it?
Yeah, I usually do that this way.
Okay. And because you're overseas, you could have contrary positions. Like you could have a long-term long from last April, but if you see a counter trend trade, instead of it liquidating your longs, you could do a short trade and still hold the long.
That's right.
Okay. See, we can't do that here.
Yeah, because you have the
all right. So I hope you have a nice apartment all set up for me in Jakarta, so I could do that too over
You're
there.
welcome.
And so you know what, I really want to thank you. It was so you're long. You like these pairs, and that's a pretty good pullback on a 4 for euro yen. That's tradable. Anything else in the yen cross?
Yeah, I think almost all yen crosses. I'm pretty bullish on almost all yen crosses. This is the guppy.
Yeah.
And
okay.
then the Aussie yen too. So I don't know what to make on the USD yen, but I've been bullish on the yen cross pairs since like 3-4 months ago. So I'm still seeing a very bullish move in those pairs.
Okay, so you have a view on the dollar?
The dollar, yeah. Let me show you.
Because I'm thinking one more washout. So you think that we've just had a
yeah, I'm not sure if we're done with the 5-year. Yeah, we could make another low still, but I'm thinking we're due for a little pullback for wave 4 before another low for wave 5 again later on.
Okay, so we could just make a marginal new low and then recover back towards the previous wave 4 at 94.
That's right. I'm looking for around 94 before we go down again later on.
Okay. Wow, what a great interview for it being your first. You're a natural. So how do people follow you? You just have your Twitter handle?
Yes, I only have my Twitter handle at trader_Hardy.
Okay, Jess says hello. Jess sends his respects.
Hi, Jess.
And someone, George H, said he had a 75% drawdown and lived through it. So you're a warrior too, George. Thank you so much, Hardy, for coming by and sharing your views and your journey. And I wish you continued success. May pips continue to rain down on you and your family. And good hunting into the Fed, BOJ, and appreciate your shares on Twitter and you dropping into Face. So
thank you for having me.
You know that you are my trading warrior brother, Hardy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dale.
Okay, everyone. So that's a wrap. Good luck for the rest of Turnaround Tuesday. And I'll see everybody tomorrow. So remember, this is your last week of summer. Enjoy it. I still am going to stick by a scenario for one more washout in the dollar into late this week, right around the equinox. We'll see if that manifests or I'm all wet. We should know tomorrow. And most of all, see you, Craig. See you, George, Richard. You're very welcome, Simon. Simon, thank you for your Twitter support. Remember that the ongoing sale is over October 2nd. So I have figured it out in pips. So for the 4 analysts we have here at ForexAnalytix, you're paying Blake 1.5 pips, and Steve and Stelios, Grega, and Nick, and oh, you know what? I overestimated it. It's about a pip a month. So if I could hire Blake Morrow and Steve Volge and Nicola Duke and Grega Horvat and Stelios for 1 pip a month, I would call that a very good value. Yes, yeah, so it's a pip a month for the 1-year subscription. All right, everyone. Remember, don't just count your pips, count your blessings. I want to thank Hardy for coming on today, and Blake for coming in and sharing his top elite views, and Steve Volge, good stuff every day from Steve. Don't take any more vacations, Steve. So don't just count your pips, count your blessings. See everyone tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day. Adios.